but at Caesars, they have the potential national title matchups up. They just played, as you mentioned. Michigan won by 3 touchdowns on the road. If that's the championship game, they make Ohio State 2.5 against Michigan.
Yeah, I made Ohio State -1, and most of the people that I follow and communicate with have the Buckeyes as a small favorite as well. Anywhere between 1 and 2.5. So I think that number's right where it will be. Obviously, some things could happen in the semifinal matchups if that championship game was to come to fruition. But I think that's right where it should be and right where it would be if those teams meet again in a historic rematch.
Paul, what's your best guess at what happens between this Louisville-Cincinnati bowl game? Louisville currently laying at 2. They're laying 2 points in this matchup. And, of course, the angle here is that their head coach, now their former head coach, Satterfield, took the Cincinnati job.
I tell you, Mitch, you kind of framed it perfectly. Best guess. That's kind of what we never like to be guessers as handicappers, but you're really taking educated guesses at what's going to happen. And not only do you have the coaching angle, I don't think there's any question that Scott Satterfield was not universally loved there at Louisville. A lot of fans, he's been on the warm seat, it seems like, for the better part of the last couple of seasons. It was time to go. He saw an opportunity. He took it. You would think his current players, or the players that he left behind, rather, there at Louisville, would be motivated to play their former coach. But one of my big questions is Malik Cunningham, the Louisville quarterback. He's draft eligible. He started close to 50 games in his collegiate career. So this is a game I'm going to wait and see, because I'm not seeing anything yet on Cunningham's availability for this game, whether or not he will play. Brock Doman's played a lot of football for Louisville this year, but he is no Malik Cunningham, obviously. So I'm going to wait and see. If Cunningham plays, though, I'm going to try to hit Louisville quick, because I think Louisville is going to be motivated to play Cincinnati, a team that will also be with a new coach next season.
Now let's go over what you played. New Orleans Bowl, December 21st, Western Kentucky against South Alabama. Had a hell of a year. They went 10-2, lost on a last-second field goal at UCLA, and lost at home to Troy, who went 11-2. You laid 7 with South Alabama. Take us through your thought process here.
Yeah, this is the new age of college handicapping college football games. I mean, everything changed forevermore 6 years ago when Christian McCaffrey became the first player to begin the so-called trend of opting out of bowl games. And there's a key opt-out in this game, that being Western Kentucky quarterback Austin Reed. Reed threw for over 4,200 yards this year, 36 touchdowns through the air. He can also run the football, ran for 8 more. Their backup didn't play hardly at all. Reed was he was on the field most of the time for the Hilltoppers. You look at South Alabama, this is their first bowl appearance since 2014. They were supposed to play in a bowl game last year, I believe, but I think that was one of the games that got canceled. But South Alabama got to be hungry to be back on the bowl scene. Western Kentucky just not the same team without Austin Reed. So I took the Jaguars -7 over Western Kentucky.
December 22nd, Armed Forces Bowl, Baylor against Air Force. What'd you do here?
This is a Baylor team that there's a lot of sentiment out of Waco that they're a little bit disappointed in their bowl assignment. Air Force is a team that plays well in bowls. It stands to reason that they would be a difficult bowl matchup because of their unique option offense. They've covered 4 of their last 5 bowl games. One thing with Air Force, you don't have to worry about opt-outs. The Falcons they're going to send their roster. They're going to be playing a Power 5 team. I got them yesterday at +7. I like the Falcons to perhaps beat Baylor in the bowl game.
Paul, the Money, Pauly and Mitch, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Paul Stone, our guest, Paul Stone Sports Podcast, and at Paul Stone Sports on Twitter, college football handicapper. This is December 29th, Cheez-It Bowl. Well, you want to talk about power ratings. There's been a lot of talk about that with the Alabama situation. Oklahoma was favored in every game but one, yet went 6-6. Here they're a dog against Florida State. What'd you lay with the Seminoles?
Again, this is a situation of, who's going to be available. It's part of the informational handicap that these bowl games have turned into. And Eric Gray, Oklahoma's top offensive player, their leading rusher, he's opted out. Several other players, including some offensive linemen, have opted out for Oklahoma. They're going to be one of the most impacted teams in the bowl season by opt-outs. On the other sideline, you have a Florida State team, Jordan Travis. He's going to return next season, playing at a high level. The Seminoles can enhance their preseason ranking going into next season. I think it's clear they're going to be a top 10 team. I think Florida State rolls the Sooners, laid the 7 with the Seminoles.
Okay, and Sugar Bowl, Alabama against Kansas State. Again, opt-outs. What'd you do with the Kansas State-Alabama game?
Yeah, listening to Matt Humans, earlier today on the program, pretty much the same thoughts as Matt. This is an Alabama team that we saw what they did against Utah in a similar situation in a bowl game that really didn't matter much to them. We saw what they did more recently against Oklahoma in a similar situation. Alabama plays for the gold ball. They're not only going to be without numerous players, I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of motivation, a whole lot of incentive. Kansas State, what would a victory over Alabama, even in a non-New Year's Six bowl, what would it mean for that program? Kansas State beats Alabama in the bowl game.
Okay, and one more, also December 29th, Alamo Bowl, Texas against Washington. What a year they had, 10-2. Too bad they lost to Arizona State, one play away from being 11-1. You took the points. How many did you take with Washington against Texas, and tell us why?
Yeah, this game yesterday, you were seeing it really when it opened. First of all, when it opened at a sports book other than Circa on Sunday, I think it was like 3.5 Texas favored. Then it kind of settled in yesterday afternoon at 6.5. I saw 7 at Circa. Took Washington +7 yesterday afternoon. This is a Husky team that's red hot. Michael Penix Jr., one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They've won 6 straight games. In that winning streak, they beat Oregon by 3. They beat the Oregon State by 3. Again, like you said, a 2-loss team, but their losses by 7 and 8 points. Could be 11-1, even 12-0. So I took Washington +7 there in San Antonio in the Alamo Bowl.
Visit VSiN.com to get current odds. Listen for free, find showtimes, and download VSiN sports betting podcasts.